Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, I am Ahmed Mumtaz Mustahsan, your teacher for CSC 141 Introduction to Computer Programming. Students, we are discussing arrays and will still continue and would like to add on new concepts. But before we introduce some new concepts, let's have a very quick revision whatever we have discussed in the previous lecture. Arrays, a data structure, a structure of related data items. We said that each element of the array should have the same data type. It's a static allocation of the memory, means the memory which is allocated to the programs remains the same throughout the execution of the program. This is the concept that we will deliberate upon in the future lectures also. Then we talked about that array has the data elements which are stored consecutively in the memory location. Today we would like to see that why this restriction has been imposed and what advantage we will get when we store the data elements of the arrays consecutively in the memory location. Each element of the array has the same name, but how we distinguish the element? We distinguish the element with the help of index. That could be a variable, that could be a constant, or that could be an expression. How we access the data elements of an array? We use obviously the name of the array and index number. This index number is identified in square brackets, and within the brackets we use the index variable. So the generic format of this array is basically the name and the square bracket, then the position. Very important point, that is the first element of the array has an index 0. This is a convention which is used in C language, and we need to remember this particular concept. So an array of n elements, if it starts from 0, then obviously it has an element array of 0, then next is array of 1, then the last element is array of n minus 1. Okay, because we are starting not from 1, we are starting from 0. We can use these array elements just like ordinary variables, so that we can use the assignment operator, we can use it as an L value, and we can assign any R value to this L value. Just like the same concept that we have studied for the variables in C language. And then we can use it with any type of output statement, either output function printf or output function cout. We can also use expressions inside the square brackets. And what do we have inside the square brackets? We have index inside the square brackets. Index of what? Index of the array, subscripted array. That is, to access the each element of the array we use an index, and that is used as a, it could be used as a constant, it could be used as an expression, or if we say a of 2 plus 3 should be equal to, obviously this a should have been small a, so a of 2 plus 3 is just like a of 5. Okay, because 2 plus 3 will be resolved first, then the 5 is the index value, and which element it should point out? Fifth element? No, it should not point out fifth element. So which element it should be? It should be the sixth element. Okay, because we are starting from 0. Pictorial form of the array. This is the representation. On the left side we have name of the array, the same example that we are discussing, from a of 0 to a of 11. Suppose this is the array that we have defined, and we use the name of the array here, then we use the square brackets here, and position is within the square bracket. There is a mistake here, and also here it's duplicated somehow. Okay, so what do we have? When we declare an array, the consecutive memory locations are allocated, and whatever is there in this memory location, whatever value is there, that remains there. So we call it as garbage values, because these values are already there, that we can initialize it to set the initial values. So how we should declare an array? We have to provide the name of the array, just like we provide the name of the variable. Then we need to provide the type of the array, and that is the data type. Data type आपको पता है, which are the data types? Integer, float, double, long. Long is basically not, it's the extension of integer. So double के बाद next is character. So we can have these 4 data types, and then we can use the modifiers unsigned and long, and that remains the same concept that we have already studied. So the number of elements, that is the size of the array, that determines that how much memory locations are required. If we say the size of the array, we mention here 20, so it means that there should be not 20 memory location, but there should be allocated 20 consecutive locations, and each location should be capable of holding 1 integer value. Okay, so if we declare float f 1 2 3 4, it means that this is an array for which each element is float, and the total number of element is 1234, and here the each element should be of integer. Here the each element should be of float, and we know that this is very important. That's why it is called homogeneous. Homogeneous means similar data type. We can also declare multiple arrays in just a single line, as we do with the variables, just like integer x comma y, means 2 variables are initialized. You can initialize integer a comma b. Similarly, you can initialize integer a of 100 and b of 200, the same concepts that we used in the declaring the variables. Then comes certain concepts which are related for the initialization of the array. We use different methods to initialize the array. One method is we can use a loop structure, and we can access each and every element and may assign some initial value. That is one way of initializing the array. The second way is we can use the initializer list. We can provide an initializer list by specifying the each element. We may put the data at the time of initialization of an array, just like we may put a data in a variable at the time we initialize the variable. Remember, when we initialize a variable, usually in the beginning, so it performs all the three tasks. Number 1, declaration. Number 2, definition. Number 3, initialization. I hope you remember all the 3. I just quickly go through it. Declaration means just to tell the compiler, just to tell the system the data type and the name. Definition means to allocate the memory also. The memory has been set aside whenever we define something. Either we define the variable or we define the function. Initialization, it means that putting the initial value into the variables. Same goes with the arrays. Declaration, definition, initialization. So one way of initialization is the for loop. The second way could be the initialization list. Here we have put 1, 2, 3, 4. So the size is 5. So it should be a of 0 is 1, a of 2 is 2, a of 0 is 1, a of 1 is 2, a of 2 is 3, a of 3 is 4, and a of 5 is we need to a of 4 we need to provide it here. But if we don't provide the fifth element, then the rightmost element should be 0. Okay, अगर हम array के number of elements के बराबर elements initialize नहीं करते, जो remaining elements हैं, those are automatically initialized to a 0 value. So if too many elements, can we do the reverse? We have reserved an array of 5 elements, but we have provided 4 elements. Can we do the reverse? Can we have a 5 and provide the 6 value? What will happen to the 6? This is invalid. This is not allowed. The compiler will generate a syntax error for that. Okay. मैंने आपको यहाँ बताया था कि if you do not provide the element, if you do not provide the equal number of element, what will happen? That the rightmost number of elements are initialized to 0. Okay. So what will happen here? Int a of 5, 0. So obviously the first element should be 0 and all the rightmost elements should be 0. So this is basically the extension of the same, but it is used more often. And what do we do with this? We initialize the value and that value goes for each and every element. But we can also extend it. We can put the same value for all the elements. If we put 1 here, so it's mean that all the elements should have the same value. That is another extension of this initialization. Then we said that there should be an implicit declaration in which the system automatically computes the size of the array. And how it does that? If we skip this information here, do not provide that how many elements we have it when we need it, but we put the data here, then the system automatically computes that you have initialized 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So it will say int a of 5 and the subscript should start from 0 to 4, and here as I said the subscript starts from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and fourth one is also for the 0 value. Okay, so we have quickly revised all the different ways through which we can initialize the arrays. Let's take some examples. Up till now we have been just discussing the concepts. Now we just take the these concepts, take it up to the program, and I'll be using the slides, not the hands-on demonstration. Inshallah, in the very next lecture I will be demonstrating you some hands-on exercises also, and we'll repeat these concepts in the demonstration. So dear students, just look at here the int a of 10. What does it mean, int a of 10? Here we have n is an array of 10 integers, an array of 10 integers, array of 10 integers. We have declared it. Now we have to initialize it. The first way that I told you, we could use the for structure. So we have used here for structure. Int I is equal to 0 less than 10 means that we can access each and every element of the array by using the subscript I. You remember that in the for loop, this I is the loop variable that varies from 0 to 10. So I is less than 10, so it will vary from 0 to 9. So this value of I that will varies from 0 to 9, and it's mean that each and every element you can initialize it to 0. So that was the first way through which we could initialize that, and in this particular example we have used this option. Then we would like to print, so obviously I've used here \t, but there is also an option with the cout which is set width through which we can control the format. And in the future lectures, when I will be discussing in detail the IO stream, C in and C out, I will be talking about a lot of features, lot of facilities which are associated with C in and C out stream, which are basically the IO streams. But here I have used \t, which is a tab, and usually the tab default value is 8 spaces or 8 characters. So it's mean that 8 spaces means that we have used it just to put certain margins over there. And then the output contents, once again we have used this for loop to print each and every value of the array on the output. So here we have declared 10 elements of the array integers, and here we have used it to initialize it, which is from 0 to 9. And what should be the program output? क्या होनी चाहिए इसकी output? You have put a value from 0 to 9. So that's mean that element 0 should have value 0. Okay, its value is not 1 to 9. We have put each and every value as here 0. So each and every value of this array is 0 here. Okay, so initializing an array with a declaration. The second option that I have demonstrated you or introduced you, that we could put the list of data elements here. So if we have the data elements and we don't want to put in from the keyboard, so what we can do is that we can use this initialization method, and here we will provide the 10 values 32, 27, 64 and so on. This is the list of the data elements that we put in at the initialization time into an array. और ये मैं आपको भी बता रहा था set width, और when I will be teaching some detail, so I will be talking about this set width that is associated, basically it is the one of the feature of cout, and we will be discussing it in future. So here is just printing the header element and the header this value and the end of the line, and then we can so we can put the output here also. This is the initialization list and this is the output, and this time you see that output is not 0 but the output where is the cursor? Yes, it's here. So the output is here, and this output is same as this list. Okay, so we can confirm that yes, the data has successfully been stored into the array, and we have a control of each and every element of the array. Each and every element of the array is under control in your program. We can also initialize the size of the array if you don't want to change the size of the array, and if you are very conscious that it should not be changed accidentally, then I have told you a feature, a keyword which is called const keyword. The const keyword enables us to tell the compiler that look, this variable should be used as a constant. We would like to use it because we can put in the data in it, but we can use the word const, and so that we should put certain value that should not accidentally be changed in our program. So constants must be initialized when declared. So if you want to put a const, if you don't put the data, then whatever the garbage value it has will remain the same. But if we use the keyword const, so it's very logical that we put some initial constant value. So these are called named constant or read-only variables. We can read the data, but we cannot update and change the data. So, okay, this is the example, and here we have used the const keyword so that we may use it, and it should not change its value throughout the execution of the program. So we can use this const keyword here, integer, and then we have used array size here and here and here. In each and every loop we have used the same constants that we have defined, and also we have used the same value to define and declare the array also. So in this way, if we want to change the size of the array for the next time of execution, what we can do, we can simply change the constant value here, and all the places where we have used this one, this particular variable as a constant, the size is changed, and it will also facilitate you to declare the array of the size that you will adjust. So the program becomes more scalable when we set the array size using a constant variable. Okay, so what should be the output of this program? We have seen that we have put up the values of the output here using this for loop, where we have what we have done here, this s of I is equal to 2 times 2 plus I, 2 times 2 plus I. So if the value of I is equal to 0, then 2 into 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2, so this is 2, and then we just keep on multiplying it, 2 times 2 plus I, so it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So basically this is another way through which we can initialize a monotonic increasing numbers, and we have put it up into the array, and then we can use the for loop to display the output as well. Let us move further and find out the sum of the array. So here we have initialized the array here, and the value we have initialized is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we have used integer total is equal to 0, and then we have calculated the cumulative values. So in the loop we calculate the value. Here is the initialization part, and here is basically we are computing the total. So we are changing the loop variable I, and using this variable I from 0 to size of the array. Size of the array was 10, so it is changing from 0 to 9, and we are computing the sum, and then we can just print out the value of the sum. After coming out of the loop, we can print the value of the sum. So we have seen the value of the output of the array, and if we compute all these values, the value should be equal to 55 here. Okay, let us see this a very good example of histogram printing. What we can do here, once again we have defined the array here, and this is the array that we have defined using array size constant, and then we have put some initial data here. Okay, and what we would like to do, we would like to print a histogram using static. So for the array element of 0, which is n of 0, it should print 19 statics, and for next element it should print 3 statics, so next 15, next 7, so on. So here where it's just the heading, that the element and the histogram, and then this is the output. So the output that should contain the statics. So we have used this particular for loop here, and in this for loop what we have done here is that we take this loop from starting from j is equal to 0, j less than n of j, and this one. Basically the outer for loop is running, picking up one element. Okay, so outer element for loop is running from I is equal to 0, I less than array of size. So it will start from the element 0, then element 1, then element 2, then element 3. Okay, then comes the inner loop. This is a nested for loop. When it comes into the inner for loop, for any element, suppose for the first element, which is for the value of I is equal to 0, so it should print 19 times. In order to print 19 statics, we need another for loop, this for loop. So therefore this for loop starts from j is equal to 0 and up to, अब इसको कैसे पता चलेगा कि मैंने 19 टाइम्स प्रिंट करना है? It will say n of I. Since the value of I is 0 and n of 0 is 19, therefore this loop should execute 19 times. It's mean that this static should be printed 19 times. Okay, when loop is terminated, it goes back to the main loop, outer loop, and now the value of 0 will be updated by this I plus plus. The next value of I should be equal to 1, and now it will come back again. When it will come back again in the inner loop, this loop should run for n of 1, and n of 1 is 3. Okay, so it will print static corresponding to the size of the array elements n of I. And how it should print? It should look like this. First of all, it will print this 0 element of 0, then n of I, the value, and then it goes to the inner loop for printing the statics as histogram. I'll show you again, please. Okay, this is the outer loop. In this outer loop, what we print, we just set the some sizes, and first of all we print I. What is this I? I is basically the element, and that is this value 0. Okay, then next it prints n of I. N of I is the contents of ith element, and content of ith element is here 19. Okay, so this is I, this is n of I, and then it goes for this loop and print this static. So first it prints, सबसे पहले it has printed element, then it printed value, उसके बाद it went into this loop, these two loops, one after the other. So first time it printed element, value, histogram, then it prints of I, then n of I, then n of I, जितना भी n of I है, इसके लिए हमने एक inner loop लगाया to print the statics as many times as this number is here. So it is 19, so 19 times we have printed, 3 times printed, 15 times printed. Okay, so this is a very interesting way of using the values and printing its corresponding size. Another example. Dear students, we are supposed to learn the programming techniques also, not just the syntax. So whatever examples I am demonstrating here, each example is showing you some skills, some techniques that we use in our programming. In this particular example, just try to digest the beautiful idea that we will use in this example. What's that? First of all, we have initialized the size of the array, and size of the array is 7. What we want to do, basically we want to roll a 6-sided die, वही जो आप लूडो खेलते हैं, उसके लूडो का जो die है, that has a number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 or 6 dots. Okay, so we have declared the size 7, not 6. Why? First I just explain it to you and then I'll come back to this one. An array is used instead of 6 regular variables, and the proper element can be updated easily without needing a switch. What we have done here, we have rolled the dice here, we have rolled the dice here, okay, 6,000 times, and this is the for loop that is doing for that. Roll of 1, roll is less than equal to 6,000, roll plus plus. So it will generate 6,000 times the random number, and these random numbers will be from the range 0 to 5 because we are taking a modulus of 6. So आपने 6,000 times random number generate किया from 0 to 5. Then what we have done here, we simply add 1 here. Okay, where is my cursor? So this plus plus frequency go back and would like to locate my cursor here. This is +1. So when you generate a random number from 0 to 5, you add 1. So what does it mean? That we will generate the random number from the range not from 0 to 5 but the range from 1 to 6. So 1 to 6 are the dots that are available on our die. When we roll a dot and suppose a number is generated, and suppose if the number is 3, so what we want to do, we have declared another array, its name is frequency array size. Okay, so basically it contains frequency of 0, frequency of 1, frequency of 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we have initialized it to 0. So initially all these frequency values should be equal to 0. Then what we have done here, we have rolled the dice here, and after rolling the dice basically we generate a random number. अब random number किस range में आएगा? From 1 to 6. So what we have done here, frequency of 1, suppose 1 आता है तो frequency of 1 means कि we will add 1 here. So initially it was 0, जब 1 आया, ये 1 कहाँ से ऐड हुआ? ये 1 ऐड हुआ ऑटो इंक्रीमेंट प्लस प्लस, ऑटो इंक्रीमेंट किया इसके कंटेंट्स को और किसको? फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ 1 को ऑटो इंक्रीमेंट किया, इसकी वैल्यू हो गई 1. नेक्स्ट टाइम आया 3, सो व्हाट इट विल डू, इट विल ऑटो इंक्रीमेंट द थर्ड. अब थर्ड कहाँ से आया? दिस इज द रैंडम नंबर. ये रैंडम नंबर विच हैज बीन जनरेटेड विद द हेल्प ऑफ दिस रैंड वेरिएबल. ओके, इसने जनरेट किया 3. सो थर्ड पोजीशन में हमने यहाँ पर 1 ऐड कर दिया. फिर इसे जनरेट किया 2, सो सेकंड पोजीशन में हमने 1 ऐड कर दिया. फिर जनरेट किया 5, फिफ्थ पोजीशन में 1 ऐड कर दिया. फिर जनरेट किया 1 में ऑलरेडी 1 था, 1 इसको एक ऑटो इंक्रीमेंट किया हमने यहाँ पर 1, फिर हमने इसके अंदर ऐड कर दिया. क्योंकि what basically we are doing is just like plus x. So we are using frequency of this means कि this is the element. This is the element, whatever this element is, whatever random number is generated, उस particular position generate हो रही है ना 1 से 6 तक. तो जिस पोजीशन का नंबर आया है उस पोजीशन में जाके जो उसके प्रीवियस कंटेंट्स हैं उसमें 1 ऐड कर देंगे. So that is a very useful idea through which you can just count down कि how many times 1 has occurred, how many times 2 has occurred, how many times 5 has occurred, how many times 6 has occurred. So after completing this particular example and program, what we see that now we would like to see the output. We use an array, and this array will output face is equal to 1, face is less than equal to array of size face plus plus. Now we are starting from 1, face is less than array of size. Array of size क्या था? Array of size was 7. यहाँ पे array of size was 7. Okay, top पे हमने count int array of size was 7. Okay, so when we say less than 7, this array should run from 1 to 6, from 1 to 6. Okay, we have intelligently declared array of 7 so that we are not using array of 0. Why? Because we don't need it, because our die does not contain 0. लेकिन हम उस array का एक just single element को without using it, हमारे पास उसमें array में we have array of 1, array of 2, array of 3, array of 4, array of 5, array of 6. और जो भी नंबर 1 से 6 के दौरान जनरेट होता है हम डायरेक्टली उस पर्टिकुलर सबस्क्रिप्ट के मदद से जो भी रैंडम नंबर जनरेट होता है उसके अंदर एक 1 ऐड कर देते हैं और इंटेलिजेंटली वी मेंटेन द रिकॉर्ड. Okay, so this is a very intelligent technique through which we have optimized it, and without using this switch statement. Otherwise आपको क्या करना पड़ता कि वो डाई की वैल्यू क्या आई है. अगर डाई की वैल्यू 3 आई है तो आप थर्ड एलिमेंट में, और थर्ड एलिमेंट क्या होता i-1, यानी कि array of 2 के अंदर आप 1 ऐड करते. और अगर डाई की वैल्यू 6 आती तो आप अरे ऑफ 5 में ऐड करते, क्योंकि आपका सबस्क्रिप्ट 0 से स्टार्ट हो रहा था। तो हमने 0 से स्टार्ट करने की बजाय उसको सबस्क्रिप्ट को 1 से 6 तक लेकर चले हैं, और 0 को हमने यूज ही नहीं किया अपने प्रोग्राम के अंदर, और हमने स्विच स्टेटमेंट लगाए बगैर जो भी नंबर आया उस नंबर को हमने एज ए सबस्क्रिप्ट यूज किया और उसकी पोजीशन के अंदर जाके 1 ऐड कर दिया। और हमने इंटेलिजेंटली एक काउंटर मेंटेन किया कि 6000 टाइम जब हमने डाई को रोल किया, तो यू कैन सी इन द आउटपुट विंडो दैट 1 हैज अकर्ड दिस मच टाइम्स, 2 has 1004 times, 3 has 999 times, 4980 times, 5111013 times, and 6 has 1001 time. Okay. Finding a maximum minimum of an element. This is another example where we have declared an array, and in this array we want to find out the maximum and minimum element of the array. So once again we have declared an array, and we have initialized and provided the initial value of the array here, and this is the initial value of the array, and initially we have initialized max is equal to min is equal to 0. Multiple assignment. Okay, हमने बजाय इसके कि एक सिंगल असाइनमेंट से हमने 2 सिंगल असाइनमेंट्स यूज की, बिकॉज इट मूव्स फ्रॉम राइट टू लेफ्ट. सो व्हाट विल हैपन, this array of 0 means 13 will be assigned to minimum, 13 will be assigned to maximum. Initially we assume that the first element is minimum and first element is maximum. Then we run through the complete array from 0 to 9, and for that purpose we use this for loop, and we say that int I is equal to 1, I is less than equal to array of size, and I plus plus. Why we are not starting from 0? We are not starting from 0 because we have already gone through the 0 element, और हमने 0 element को assume किया है कि its value is minimum and this value is maximum. अब हमने find out करना है कि between 1 to 9 जो है which is the minimum. Okay, this was our assumption कि 0 element is the minimum element. Okay, here from 1 to this one, then if a of I is greater than max, if 2 is greater than max, then max should be a of 2, but 2 is not greater than max. Else, if a of I is less than minimum, it's mean that 2 is less than 13. Yes, 2 is less than 13, then minimum should be equal to a of 2. No, minimum should contain 2 and maximum should contain 13. In this way it will keep on running from this particular loop, and we'll find out will update what should be the minimum value. And as obvious, after going through this, it should print the minimum element value is -10 and the maximum element value is 90. Okay, and we can see that in our loop the minimum value is -10, this is the minimum value, and the maximum value is 90 here, and this is we have achieved with the help of this loop. Okay, next, another application that we can very conveniently execute is the sorting of arrays. Sorting किसे कहते हैं? Arranging the data elements in ascending or descending order. आप देखें in our previous example, this array contains the data elements which are scattered, which are not sorted. If we want to sort these data elements, we have to arrange these elements. We have to find out whether we want to sort it in ascending order. Ascending order क्या होता है? The smallest value comes first, and then the next higher value, next higher, and so on. The largest value occupies the last position. Descending order क्या होता है? The first value is the largest and the last value is the smallest. And this is a very important concept, and most of the organization usually requires to sort their data. कभी ना कभी उन्हें अपने data को sort करना पड़ता है. One of the sorting technique is called a bubble sort. It's a very simplest algorithm. What we do, we just go through the list, and compare the first element with and second element. If they are not in order according to our desire, ascending or descending, then we put them in order. Then we compare the second element with third element. If they are not in order, we put them in order. Then third with fourth, then fourth with fifth, then fifth with sixth. So finally we complete one pass. What do we achieve in one pass? After completing one pass, the smallest or the लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू डिपेंडिंग, सपोज हम इसको असेंडिंग ऑर्डर में सॉर्ट करने जा रहे हैं, तो द स्मॉलेस्ट वैल्यू दैट इन द फर्स्ट पास जो है हम उसको कंपेयर करते जाएंगे. सो द स्मॉल इट विल अरेंज फर्स्ट विद सेकंड, सेकंड विद थर्ड. सो द लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू विल ऑक्युपाई टू द लास्ट पोजीशन. ओके, द लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू विल बबल अप टू द लास्ट पोजीशन. ओके, और रिवर्स केस में हम क्या कर सकते हैं कि हम अगर डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर में करेंगे तो व्हाट विल हैपन के स्मॉलेस्ट वैल्यू विल बबल अप टू द लास्ट पोजीशन. ओके, सो सक्सेसिव पेयर ऑफ एलिमेंट्स आर कंपेयर्ड. इफ इंक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर और आइडेंटिकल वी डू नॉट चेंज. इफ डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर एलिमेंट्स आर एक्सचेंज एंड रिपीट दिस स्टेप्स फॉर ईच एंड एवरी एलिमेंट. सो this is the example here. Demonstration, I will show you the program also, but let's go from left to right. We start from left to right. Pass number 1, we compare 7 with 3. If they are in order, they are not in order. Suppose we want to arrange it into the ascending order. So what you will do, you will exchange the two. 3 will come up here and now the 7 will assume the position here. Then you compare 7 with 2. Are they in order? No, they are not in order. 7, so 2 takes the second position. 7 is here. 7 with 4. Are they in order? No, they are not in order. So swap it again. 7 comes up here. Compare 7 with 6. Are they in order? No, they are not in order. 6 is here. 7 is occupied. So the largest value has bubbled up at the top of the array. Next, we repeat in pass number 2. Now pass number 2, we compare the first two elements once again, and now this time they are not in order. So 2 is here and 3 is here. Compare 3 with 4. They are in order. Yes, they are in order. Can compare 4 with 6. They are in order. Yes, they are in order. 6 with 7. They are in order. So we have completed pass number 2. Okay. But this time we are not supposed to go for the 7th also, because we know that 7 is the largest value. So from pass number 1, we start from 0 and go up to n minus 1 times. If there are n elements, if we start from 0, then it should be n minus 2. Basically, we have to not consider the last value and we assume that the last value is the largest one. Next pass में इसका size एक और कम हो जाएगा. Now the 6 has occupied to the largest position. In this pass there is no change. The data is already sorted, but we don't know whether there is a change or not, and we can improve our algorithm. But in this particular algorithm, we have just said that we need to keep on moving in the element till the last element is occupied and sorted by the system, by our algorithm. So the smallest element bubble up to the top if we are starting from the left. So after going through this one, the smallest element has, after 5th pass, although it was there in the 2nd pass, but 3rd pass the data was already sorted. Okay, so let us see the concept that we have used in this bubble sort. The first concept that we have used in the bubble sort was swapping of the variables. What does it mean? हमने कंपेयर किया था 7 को 3 से. They were not in order. So हमने इनको 3 और 7 को swap कर दिया था. 3 was here and the 7 was here. So it is called swapping. Let us see how this swapping is done. Swapping of variables. Suppose x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 4. We say swap means y is equal to x and x is equal to y. Will they be swapped? Let us see. When we put y is equal to x, it means the value of y should be equal to 3. Then we say x is equal to y, and now y has a value 3, therefore x is equal to 3. So after going through this swapping, both the variable will have a value that is equal to 3. So it's mean that our swapping mechanism is not correct. This swapping mechanism is not correct. So what is the solution? In order to swap two elements, we need a temporary location. I mean, आपको पहले भी एक दफा बताया था कि if you want to interchange the contents of the two containers, you require the third container also. So first, you will put the contents of one container into the temporary container or the third container that we do up here. Integer x is equal to 3, y is equal to 4, and the third container is the temp, which is equal to 0 initially. So we put temp is equal to x. X के content जो हमने temp में डाल दिए. So what will happen? X is empty now. Logically x is empty for us. What we do? We put the contents of y into x. Y के contents हमने x में डाल दिए. Now logically y should be empty. So whatever we have placed in the temp, we put the value of temp into the y. So this is called basically the swapping process. और हम इस particular bubble sort के अंदर आपने देखा, we are just doing the swapping or we are just doing the passes. Now अगर हम गौर से देखें तो हम एक ही तरह का काम कर रहे हैं. We are just comparing 7 with 3, then 7 with 2, then 7 with 4, 7 with 6. So basically we are comparing the two elements starting from 0 and 1, then 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, and n minus 1 and n variables. So for that purpose certainly we need a for loop. Then there is a for loop that is required after going through this complete loop. Only one element is sorted, and that is the last element. So we need to repeat this loop again, then we need to loop again, then again, and then again. So basically we are running this loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times here, 4 times because 5 elements here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times here. So basically we need two for loops. One is the outer for loop, and the outer for loop is basically the pass. For pass number 1 में हम outer for loop से आएंगे और inner loop के अंदर हम इस for loop के तमाम elements को will keep on organizing until the 7 goes up. Then we from the outer for loop से हम next pass के भी आएंगे और फिर next pass complete करेंगे. In this way this sorting will be completed. So let us see. In this particular example, once again I take up the same example here, and this variable is initialized. So this is the input data that we have provided here, and now I will just demonstrate the logic that I have already explained it to you. So first of all, we have put the data into the array by using this initialization method. Okay, and we need to initialize this data elements. Then we have used the loop here for int I is equal to 0, I less than array of sizes plus plus. So basically what we have done here, that we here are just showing these data elements, this output. Okay, so this for loop is showing the data onto the screen. Then comes the bubble sort mechanism here, and we start the bubble sort. We start bubble sort here, and you see that there are two for loops. The outer for loop starts the value for integer pass is equal to 0, and this pass is equal to 0, then pass is less than equal to array of size n minus 1. Where is my cursor? It is here, it is here. Yes, the cursor is here. Okay, then comes the inner loop. Outer loop से हम pass control करते हैं, then inner loop, our inner loop say now we are comparing the elements. How we are comparing the elements? array of element 0 with array of element j plus 1 means 1. So we compare the element 0 and 1. If they are not in order, if a of j is greater than a of j plus 1, means they are not in order, then we perform the swapping here. But if they are already in order, the if statement will not go inside and swapping will not take place. And for the next value, now the j is equal to 1. Now we compare a of 1 with a of 2. Then we compare a of 2 with a of 3, a of 3 with a of 4. Okay, and at any time when we say that the pair of elements are not in order, we put them in order here. Okay, when we put them in order and we complete this one. So after completing this for loop, basically we are completing one complete pass. Then it goes again back to the for loop upside, and this for loop is here. Pass is equal to 0. Next time it is the next pass, and then it will move downward. And once again this process is completed. Once these two for loops are completed, then it's mean that the whole data is sorted here. And then we use once again a for loop here to display the result on the screen here. Okay, so this is the example of the for loop through which we have sorted the data elements of the array. Next, passing arrays to the function. Dear students, we have learned that we can declare the array, we can manipulate the data in array, we can perform different type of activities with the arrays. Now we'll see that can we pass these data elements of array to the functions. So for that purpose, we quickly go through it, that to pass an array to a function, what we need to do. Basically, here we have declared an array, and when we are going to pass this array, have you noticed the difference? What we have passed? We have passed not this array, we have passed the name of the array here and the size as two different arguments. The name of the array that we have passed as the one argument, and size of the array we have passed it as the second argument, because array size is usually not passed, it's obviously not passed when we pass it on as an argument. So basically when we pass an array to a function, only the name of the array is passed to the function, because the name of the array is basically the address of the array. So only the address of the array is passed. So size is lost. So size means number of elements. So how we do? Pass the array to a function, we pass the name of the array, and then we pass the number of elements that that particular array contains. So we take few examples for that. We can pass array by using the technique called passed by reference. Function can modify original data. Do you remember when we passed the reference variables to a function, it's mean we pass the address of the variable to a function. So we have got hold the actual original data elements, that we call it as a real data elements, that is the arguments that we pass to the function. Since we have the address of the actual data elements, not the former data elements, so what we do is we can change the contents also. That is a very, very powerful feature, and that is only possible by calling the function by calling by reference. So name of the array is the address of the array. And what is the address of the array? Address of the array is basically address of the first element of the array. Okay, so function knows from where this array is stored. अब क्योंकि ओरिजिनल अरे का एड्रेस फंक्शन के पास है, and using this address function can actual the contents of the original array elements and can change this original data elements also. So हमने जब functions पढ़े थे तो हमने कहा था function can only return one single value, but here by passing reference of any particular array, now if the array contains 10,000 elements and the function can modify 10,000 elements, so the function can return 10,000 elements back to the main program. How it should return 10,000 element? By modifying the contents of each and every elements according to some logic, according to some technique. For example, we may call a bubble sort as a function and pass it on the array as an address. The bubble sort will sort the data and it returns nothing, but since it sorts the data, original data, so basically the original data is sorted and the main program will get the service. And what is the service? That each and every data elements are sorted with the help of a function. So the individual array elements can also be passed. We can pass on complete array to a function, but sometimes we don't want to pass on the complete array elements of the function. So can we pass on one particular element of a function? Yes. मैंने आपको बताया है कि yes, each element of the array can be treated as an ordinary variable. So if you want to pass on just one single variable to a one particular function, for example, in this example we have used the function array and we are passing on one single element. It is just like an ordinary variable. तो हम एक अरे के एक सिंगल एलिमेंट को ऑर्डिनरी वेरिएबल के तौर पे भी पास कर सकते हैं और वी कैन पास ऑन दी होल अरे बैक टू अवर कॉलिंग फंक्शन. ओके, सो फंक्शन को कैसे डेटा पास ऑन करना है, उसके लिए यू नीड टू प्रोवाइड द प्रोटोटाइप ऑफ ए फंक्शन. सो प्रोटोटाइप ऑफ ए फंक्शन में हमने डेटा टाइप्स जो है वो बताने होते हैं. So how can we provide the data type? So we can provide the data type like this, that we will be receiving an array. So array के लिए we are not supposed to provide the size here, but we just provide the address of the array. This is the prototype declaration. Int b start bracket end bracket. Then the next one is the integer size. So this is the prototype of the array and prototype of a function that is supposed to receive an array, and you can modify it. You may not require to provide the name of the array. You can just, in the prototype declaration, you just need to provide the data type, or here the data type is an array, integer array, so you say int bracket comma int. This we also know that is a valid data type because the names are optional in the prototype. और ये standard है. अगर हमने integer x integer y करना है तो prototype के अंदर we simply say int comma int. Okay. Both taken integer array and signed integers that can also be passed on. Whatever is valid for the variables, the same is valid for the array. अब हमने यहाँ पर no need to specify the size here between the brackets. So if you provide the size, the compiler simply ignores that. So if declare array parameters are const, then the array elements cannot be modified. अब अगर आप चाहते हैं कि जो array आपने किसी function को pass on की है, the function should not accidentally change the contents of the data element, then in that case you can declare the array as a constant. If you declare the array as a constant and you pass the data elements to that function, and if the data you are trying to change, then the compiler will declare an error message for you. So if you do want to modify, you can say const int array. Do not accidentally change the data. Let us take the example. So this is the example where we are passing the arrays to the function, and this is the printout of the program that we will demonstrate also in the demonstration session. Okay, in this particular example we can once again see that we have declared the array, and we have given it a prototype here declaration. This is prototype declaration, modify array, and in this modify array what we have simply used, we have not used const, means we can just modify it, then the main program. Then we have declared the size of the array, and we say that the size of the array is equal to 5. Okay, so we start the particular function, and after giving the output, the value of the original array that we are supposed to print out, and then we run a for loop here. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than equal to array of size, and we are printing out whatever the data we have received from the input as a input. Okay, calling program से हमने जो data receive किया, we have just printed it out here. This is main, and in this main we have placed output. Now we have called the function here, modify array. We have passed the array by simply giving the name of the array here, only the name of the array, then the size of the array. Okay, the function is here. What this function do? This function access each and element of the array, multiply the each and every element of the function by 2, and does not return anything because it says void, but practically it has modified the whole data. So after calling this function here, once again we put the value outside on our printout machine and on the screen, and we say that each and every element of the data is printed. So what it should print? It should print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the function has modified it, multiplied by 2, the data has been modified. Okay, quickly go through it again. This is the main program. Okay, this is just to display the data. This is just to display the input data. This input data that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 has been displayed, and then come back here, call this function modify. This is the function modify that you have called. The function has updated the data element here and return no data elements, but the control goes back here and it prints the value once again. So basically we are doing nothing. We are just simply, we have displayed the contents of the each and every element onto the screen, then call the function modify array, function and modified each and every data element of our array, and then printed the value. And that we have seen here in the next screen. Okay, using function to input and print the array. Now in this particular example, what we will do, we will use the function to input the data in the array for us, and then we call another function that should print the data of array for us. So that is basically done here. The function input array is called. We passed on the array by passing the name of the array and size of the array. Then we called a function print array. अब main में हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे. Main में we have just called the services of two function. One function will provide us the input, and the second function will provide us the printing facility. Input भी एक function कर रहा है, और output जो है वो दूसरा function कर रहा है. When we call this function input array, this is the input array. It will say please enter the value of n, और n जो हमने इसको pass on किया array, इसका जो size है, और this n we are running it as a loop variable from 0 to n. 0 to n minus 1 obviously, because we are starting from 0, so we are reading the data elements from b of 0. Okay, we have passed the array as variable name a. The same array is here, but what we have done, we have just changed the name of the array here b. But this is just changing the name of the array. इस particular function में array a का जो नाम है वो है array b. But actually this is the same array. That's why when we are putting the data we are putting in b, but in fact this is equal to a, so therefore the data is basically going to the function array. The array a is getting the data. Okay, so when we come out of this function return, the system will call the second function print array. It again passed the same array a with the same size. Now this print array, what it will do, once again it will receive this array a into array b. This is just the name, same array, and its size, and it's printing the data elements on it. And suppose we have entered 5, 10, 3, 7, 14. So पहले function ने हमारी ये data की in किया, और दूसरे function ने हमारी ये data की out किया. So we have learned कि how can we pass on the array elements to our functions. Array elements as a function and array element as an argument of a function. So we pass on the array elements or the complete array as an argument in a function to a calling function. Okay, and the calling function carry out the task for us, and हमने देखा इस particular example में the calling function has facilitated us. कैसे facilitate किया? एक function ने हमें कीन से कीबोर्ड से डेटा की इन करने की फैसिलिटी दी और दूसरे फंक्शन ने हमें हमारे जो डेटा था उसको स्क्रीन के ऊपर प्रिंट आउट करने की फैसिलिटी दी. So there are few more examples that we can run, and these examples, for example, we can compute mean, median and mode of the array using functions. I know you have the concept, but therefore I'm just going very quickly to it. Mean किसे कहते हैं? Mean is basically the average. Average is the total sum divided by the total number of elements. So we can compute average, और average को हम statistics ज़बान में mean भी कहते हैं. What is median? Number in the middle of sorted list. Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a sorted list. So what is the median? The middle element or middle element contains the data is equal to 3. लेकिन इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि हमारी array जो है it should be sorted. If it is sorted, then the middle element is median. But if this middle elements, if the size is odd, then we can have one middle element. But if size is even, suppose the size is equal to 6, then the middle element will be 2 elements. In that case, how can we compute the median? We take the average mean of the two middle elements. For example, if there is an array of 6 elements, then the element number 3 and element number 4 are the middle elements. So we add element 3, element 4, take the average, and that becomes our median. Mod किसे कहते हैं? Number that occurs most often in a list. So वो जो frequency जिसकी सबसे ज़्यादा है, that is called mod. Mean, median, mode नहीं बल्कि it is called mod. Okay. So here the frequency mod is 1 occurring 3 times, 2 1 times, 3 2 times, 1 4 times, 1 5 times. So the mod is equal to 1. Okay. This we should be able to do it in with the help of our functions. I just show you the slides. In this particular first slide, we are computing the mean, or after computing the mean, we are returning the data. This is another example where we are computing the, this is cumulative sum. हमने each and every element का cumulative sum निकाल लिया, that we have done before also, and then we divide it with the total number of elements. Since the sum is integer and the array of size is also integer, so we should have the integer output because it's integer division. But here we have done the typecasting, and that I promised that I will teach you in some other lecture. But simply here, if we put within the parenthesis the data type, this integer is automatically will be converted to double, and it will return a double value because the function is supposedly returning a double value. That's why we have converted this mean to a double value. So this sum divided by average, this the integer part जो है, the after integer, the fraction part will not be truncated, rather it will retain, and because we are converting it to double, and we will return it back. So we casted to a double. This is called typecasting, and I promised that I will teach you in some other lecture. So how can we compute a median? Remember, median is the middle element. उसके लिए data को sort होना चाहिए. So first of all, what we will do here, we will call the, suppose a function called bubble sort, and in the bubble sort we will sort over data elements, and after sorting the data elements, what we will do here, so similarly we can compute the median, and you know that in order to compute the median, basically median is the middle element, but in order to find a middle element, we say that our data जो है, that data should be sorted. So we first of all sort the data by calling the bubble sort that we have just learned before कि how can we sort all data element using bubble sort. तो हम उस bubble sort को एक function के अंदर convert कर देते और उस function को call करके we can call that particular function here. Okay, so here I would like to show you how we compute this median. If the size is even, then the median is the middle element. So here we have put a check that if size, and what is size? We have received the size of the array as an argument here, so we are testing it. If the size को 2 पे divide करें, if its modulus 2 is returns 0, means it's an even array, or if it does not return, so it is not equal to 0, इसका मतलब है ये odd है, and simply what we need to do is we just say size divided by 2 and it will provide us the middle element, and we can return this middle element, that should be the median. But if it is not odd, in that case we compute two middle elements, और two middle element कैसे निकालेंगे? Size minus 1 divided by 2 and size divided by 2. So ये index है, this is just the index, not the data. हमने index के अंदर compute किया है, size minus 1 divided by 2 is returning the index, and that index means we are picking up the data x of एक left पे और एक right पे. So we have picked up this data, then we have picked up this data, we added the two and divided by 2, so उन दोनों की average निकाली और हमने return कर दी. So if the array contains even number of elements, then it will compute the median like this, or if it contains the odd number of elements, then we just need to return the middle element, provided the array is sorted. Finding the mod. So basically वो जो हमने इससे पहले एक example की थी, I would like to use the same example. In this example we need to find out the mod. So how can we find out the mod here? Let us go step by step. First of all, we have declared the largest frequency. Initially we initialize it to 0 value, then we compute the represent most frequent element. इसके लिए we have defined a variable. Then we have defined an array of frequency, just like we have done in the example of Ludo, and we have calculated the frequency, the occurrence of any particular number. And here we are using the same logic, that if it occurs 3, then the frequency of 3 as number 1. Okay, if 3 occurs 5 times, so the third position we will be adding this, running this particular statement, that is x of 3 will be adding 5 times 1 here. So in this way we can maintain the frequency of the occurrence of each element, and we have said that we have supposed that the element should range from 1 to 9 here. Okay, so for int I is equal to 1, I is less than equal to 9, I plus plus, and frequency of I is greater than the largest frequency. हमने यहाँ पर assume किया था कि larger frequency is equal to 0, और यहाँ पे हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Now यहाँ पर हम we are checking that frequency of 0, frequency of 1, frequency of 2, 3, 4, 5. So whenever we get the largest number as compared to the previously recorded number, that number is available to us. So once we complete this particular loop, so when we come out of the loop, not only we get the occurrence, but also we are maintaining this कि कौन सी position के ऊपर है, so mod value कौन सी है. यहाँ से हमें पता चलता है कि how many times it has incremented. So which is the one, which element is the one that is repeating many times, इसी को mod कहते हैं ना. Or then we can find out the position also. So after doing that we can return the mod value also. For example, 1 is occurring अगर 4 times है, so ये हमें बताएगा कि ये कौन सा था नंबर, एलिमेंट कौन सा था, और उस ये बताएगा कि वो एलिमेंट का एक्चुअली उसकी वो वैल्यू क्या थी उसकी. ठीक है, तो if it is occurring 3 times, then the mod is equal to 3. So I think this is sufficient for today, and I'll come back to this same topic, arrays, with some more examples and with some hands-on exercises also. Okay, so see you in the next lecture. Till then, Khuda Hafiz.